So welcome, Reece Howden is my guest today. Reece is one of the top ski-cross skier for Canada, and we're lucky to catch him at home because you've been on the move. So welcome, Reece. I'm M-P Belisle-Kennedy for Ski Canada, so finally catching up to you. I've been following your career for many years, and finally we get the chance to chat. So how are you today?
I'm doing great, MP. Thank you very much.
Yeah?
Thanks for the call.
Yeah, so what kind of training is it like every day now until you leave for SASFE with the whole team, right? You're all leaving at the same time?
Yeah, for the most part, we have a bit of a return to snow group that are coming off of injuries, and they'll be bouncing around a little bit more. But for the main group, yeah, we'll all be flying out on the 20th or 21st, and yeah, spending about a month over in Europe for our preseason camp in Saas-Fee, Switzerland.
Yeah, that's a beautiful spot. And what's your first event that's on the FIS calendar right now?
So right now we have a test event in Beijing that's planned. So
Okay.
that'll be at the Olympic venue. Um, we don't have 100% on whether that's going to go through or not. So if that doesn't go through, it'll just be our typical Cross Alps tour that starts in Val Thorens, France.
So you don't have the same experience as some of your teammates because you weren't you were too young at the last Olympics. But I think for our viewers and readers here, we have to know that you were named. I've never heard this and I've interviewed a lot of top athletes. So you were Rookie of the Year, Crystal Globe, and before that you came in strong with the confidence because you had won things as a junior and a lot of events. So, what made you so passionate about reaching the top so quickly of your sport?
Well, I think I just set myself up really well. I didn't rush into like the World Cup racing at a super young age. Like I'm young, but like with Alpine and ski cross, it can be once you hit FIS, as soon as you kind of get on the national team, they're trying to pump you into World Cup races, and you can be 18, 19 years old, and it's a real struggle. So instead of just committing super early on, I went to school, and then as I was going to school, I continued to ski, and that kind of gave me time to mature. I feel like as as an athlete and as a person, and also you know going into this last season, I was completely finished my I guess you could say my goal for my education at the moment. So I had a geomatics engineering diploma that was completely done. So that was something that I didn't have to worry about whatsoever. And then that just left skiing, and I just felt like it was the right time for me. I'm really healthy right now, and already was skiing fast, even though I was going to school, and yeah, it was just a perfect storm.
So for you, it is a job, so work-life balance. Like as you say, any top athlete at your level has to make sacrifices, but you managed to get your studying done at a high level, so congratulations. And training, do you train a lot on your own as well? Because you can't always be with your teammates. So you have your program in the gym, and you also mountain bike. What else do you do right now?
Yeah, for sure. Especially with COVID, we're doing more and more stuff on our own. It seems like the last 2 years, and we've been able to have a couple camps throughout the summer. That's been pretty good, but for the most part, it's on our own. Um, for me, I probably spend the least amount of time in the gym out of any of the athletes, just based on kind of where I'm located and stuff like that. Although that being said, I think I probably have one of the most active lifestyles on the team. Like, I'm always outside doing stuff and doing activities and things like that. And so that keeps me in really good shape. And, lots of different sports, like you said, mountain biking and lots of hiking and just working with your hands, things like that. But I also do lots of training and running and things like that. And then also, for me, if it might change a little bit as I get older, but after this preseason camp, that's kind of for the most part all I need to really get the body in the right position for racing. A month of skiing straight is a lot, and I feel that I respond really quickly to things like that, and
Yeah.
so and being a larger guy, I try to almost kind of bring my weight down instead of bringing my weight up going into the season. So I try to go in as light as I can and kind of more based on cardio, my training would be. So do lots of running and stuff like that. And that's easy to do around the house too. And
Yeah.
then, I go into that month of training and that builds up my leg muscles and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I go about it.
Yeah. Because you mentioned your size. We can't tell now, but so you're over 6 feet. You're 6 feet what?
I'm just under 6'4" and
6'4". Okay.
about on
Okay.
6'4"
So
and well over 100 kilograms for the most part.
because as we know with physics, it's like you want speed, but for ski cross, it's not just you're not a downhill skier. It's agility as well, right? So you have to
Yeah,
work all of your entire body. And for people who don't understand ski cross, they usually understand when we say a motocross or like you have your other competitors next to you, and you're not allowed to hit them. But so you want speed, but you also don't want to like be too heavy, right? So your goal is
yeah,
not to
for
be the
sure.
most muscular guy and then also we explained the waves and stuff. But tell me, you did because like your background, you did BMX or motocross? You
Yeah,
have
so I grew up skiing, or I grew up racing BMX
okay.
for quite a few years, and to quite a high level too. Like I went to the Worlds in Victoria, and I had the BC one plate and Western Canada one plate for a while, and I was really competitive in that, and it was a lot of fun
Yeah.
when I was younger. Then we stopped racing BMX and kind of did more mountain biking as a family and stuff like that when I was younger. But definitely seeing the pros that I'm getting from that now,
Mhm.
from growing up in that type of competition.
Because we see the top performers in a lot of Olympic sports and World Cup sports. I think the key to success now that your coaches are seeing is the multi-discipline skills. Like there's also overtraining fatigue that I'm sure in skiing it's the same. Or I talk to mogul skiers or other freestyle. You cannot train the same. Like you can do a couple of starts, you can do your jumps, but you have to have all your skills and your reflexes right, because you never know from one race to another. Even if you did an inspection, you don't know all the action that's going to happen. It's kind of what makes it fun for us to watch, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, obviously everything that you can do to improve yourself and being strong and flexible and stuff like that is great. But if you only have the strength and the endurance and the flexibility and things like that, and you don't have the feel of skiing,
Mhm.
you'll never win races. And it has to be a calm combination of the both. And what I like to kind of say is I like to say you need to be um, as fast as you can be, working with the physical geometry and the body composition that you have. So you need to find the best technique for your body and your type of skiing, and that's how you're fast. That's how, like, I can win a crystal globe,
Yeah.
and then the year before Kevin Jury won a crystal globe, and I have probably almost 10 inches of height difference
Yeah.
on him, and 50 pounds.
Yeah, but it's also guts and strategy and everything else.
Yeah.
It's at your level, I
Oh,
know
for sure, for
Canada.
sure.
Because Canada, like I like to think we're number one because we're going into an Olympic season and World Cup, so we have good standing. But who would you say the other countries that we have to watch out for? Like Switzerland, there's Asian countries, there's Russia. Like you're watching for everybody, I'm sure, in your competition.
Yeah, some of the most competitive teams on the circuit would be Switzerland, France,
Oh,
Sweden for sure, and Germany. And then there's also, guys that are out there too that are doing well from all the other countries for sure. But those would be the superpowers, I guess you could say, of ski
yeah.
cross, with us in there too, for sure.
So if we talk business, to empower you and your teammates to be the best you can be. So you have your team sponsors or corporate partners, you have your coaching. What do you need? Like, what's the tool that Canada Ski Cross? It's not a loaded question. You can feel free to say, because I know it's always more money, but if you could get the tools you really wanted and you compare with other countries, what could we support you to get your goals? Like it's the sponsors, and do you feel the entourage is there? Do we have all the tools to train?
The big thing I think also would be the the biggest thing for ski cross in Canada, I would say, isn't directly for like us for or the national team. The
Hmm.
biggest thing we need is for the younger generations and the developing groups. With COVID, it's been really, really tough. But the biggest thing we need is for, firstly, clubs and coaches to accept ski cross as a highly competitive alpine sport. And also we need ski hills all over the country to be promoting it, and like willing to provide locations for us to train, and locations for us to train where we are exposed to the public so they can see what
Yeah.
we're doing and things like that, and exposed to younger individuals who inspire them to be interested
Yeah.
in this sport, and things like that, and if you have that, and if you have the interest, and if you have the fan base, then the money will come. You can just say, we need more money, but everybody needs more money. And I think for the biggest thing is we need more support as a Canadian fan base, and we need it to be more accessible to the public, and we need more races in North America would be a
That's
big one for sure.
That's true. That's a great answer. Thank you for enlightening. Because I live close to Ottawa, and we had a club at Mont Sainte Marie that moved to Calabogie. When I skied in Tremblant, there's no, because you need a lot of snow to build, and you need to dedicate those runs, right? Like you can't just
Yeah.
start training in a real ski cross terrain right off the bat in November. There's not enough snow, or it's different than slalom like training, right? Like they have access to every hill. You can set up a slalom course, but it's the machinery, it's the support of the hill, and the association, and the coaching. So that's a good point, because I'm sure in BC. So you moved to Nikiska to train there, like were you mostly based there? I know there's a World Cup that happened a few years ago in Collingwood. That was a big success. It was beautiful weather. Were you there? That was 3 years ago, I think.
Yes, yeah, I've been to the Blue Mountain race
Okay.
twice.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And but yeah, no, I centralized.
Ah, your sound.
Perfect. I just had to decline an incoming call.
Okay.
Also, back to where I was. Yeah, so yeah, we've had the Blue Mountain race. I've been there quite a few times, and then yeah, I did centralize to Calgary for about
Okay.
4 or 5 years right out of high school. For the most part, just during the winter and the school season,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we do a lot of training at Nikiska, but we've never had like a ski cross track that we were actually able to train on. The
Oh,
only time that we had the ski cross track was during the races.
that's hard. Yeah.
So so when we were at Nikiska, it was typically alpine training and stuff like that. And then we play around. I think we had like a start in there at one point, and maybe a couple features. But recently, the biggest support we've got that is from Canyon in Red Deer, that ski
Okay,
hill.
that's
So
great.
um, not, I'm not sure, no, not last year, but the year before, we had a ski cross track that was open for us for the whole season.
Okay.
So the development team group was able to train in Red Deer all year on that track. And also that was when I was finishing my last year of school.
Yeah.
So I was able to get up there and do some races, race with the younger guys and stuff like that, and the development team group, and then also kind of keep me sharp for when I think I had 5 days on snow, and then wrote my exams, hopped on an airplane, flew out, and
Wow.
pounded out two races in Europe, and so that was that. So that was huge. That was awesome. And I think last year they had they had a bit of a ski cross in what's it called? It's a small hill by Crow's Nest Pass,
Okay.
and it
They set you up.
yeah, you probably could look that up, but it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's right by Crow's Nest Pass, but it's not Castle. They
Yeah.
had a spot there, so there is definitely hills that are helping us out, and stuff like that. But we would love to see more, and we would love to see like be able to like go here for a week, go here for a week,
Yeah.
and that would be the best way to get exposure and things like that. And then with the World Cup, we would like to work towards more of a North American preseason tour, which would be epic. The
Yeah.
only problem is the United States doesn't actually have a ski cross team for
No. Yeah.
a number of reasons at the moment. So
Hmm.
that makes it difficult, but it's looking promising. Like this upcoming year, we were going to have two back-to-back races in Nakiska, and we've never had two races in one year in Canada. So that's
And,
been great. Um, and yeah.
well, tell me about what it was like to win at Nakiska, like the homeboy and everything. That must have been because it always like last year I didn't even know how you guys felt. You come at the finish line, you're with your colleagues, but nobody's cheering. Versus an event
Yeah.
where people you hear them cheering from the start. You get the adrenaline of a racehorse in the gate. I bet. So tell me about the difference of excitement.
Oh, it was huge. It was like, I haven't had a single event since then. I've won, I think, six races since then the Kiska one,
Yeah.
and none of them have even come close
Oh,
to the energy that I experienced there. Like my whole family was
yeah.
there for the most part. The entire ski cross team and Alpine, like the Alpine Canada staff
Yeah.
was, everybody was there. It was awesome. And then also having us going 1 and 2, me and Kevin, that
Yeah.
was huge. It was a unbelievable day. And yeah, it was yeah, like I said, it's tough to really put into words, but it was huge. And it'll be it was a race that um yeah, I'll definitely remember for forever, and I don't think I'll be able to top that one. um
Well, you
it'll
can.
it was pretty unbelievable to be
It's
on
good.
home
Yeah.
soil.
It's good to tap into that moment for visualization, but I'm sure you're all young, healthy young boys. I'm sure the celebration was epic as well, right?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was super cool because like you kind of would compare it to when Johnny Cachera won the Lake Louise men's downhill. He
Yeah.
was the first Canadian man to win that downhill, and that was the same case for me. We hadn't had a male athlete
Yeah.
win the Nakiska race. Brady had come really close a bunch of times, but yeah, it was huge to pull it off.
Yeah, at least we need more. Like I remember Collingwood, you had almost, it was a beautiful spring day and 40,000 fans. But when we talk fans, I know I used to cover always the FIS downhill men's and ladies at Lake Louise. And as a Canadian, I meet with all the other journalists who are sent, even if they do radio, they're sent paid from Austria. And we look, it's embarrassing because we don't have the crowd like we didn't have it for the men's downhill and the ladies at Lake Louise. Like it's very limited crowd. So at least for freestyle, I find the crowds show up. So we don't know why. I know it's in the park in Lake Louise, but Nikiska is not that accessible, right? Like you don't have everybody from big cities driving up to Nikiska. So I think one of the goals that I'd like to discuss in this article is also to grow the sport, but to grow the fan base, like you say, like maybe explain more and have some of you share videos of, and then they could practice a little bit off piste, because like you say, it doesn't have to be a track, but at least practice the whoop-de-doos, like the jumps and like how to gain speed in a turn. Like a lot of people don't learn that in ski school, right? So there's special skills.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the Lake Louise downhill has always been bad for a fan base, and like for one point too. We had to we deal with this too. It's a cold race to go to. We had it was like minus 30, minus 35 going
That's
into
cold.
that Nikiska race
Cold.
on the year that I won. And I think it warmed up a little bit for the race day, but like I think 3 days before the race, the hill was closed
That's
because
cold.
they
Yeah.
couldn't run the chairlifts because it was like minus 40.
Oh
So
my.
that like that was huge.
Yeah.
But for really bringing in the fan base, I think the way it needs to be done is it needs to be presented more of a festival. It can't be like everybody's just coming to watch the ski cross race. Everybody's going to this ski festival that
Yeah.
has a ski cross World Cup at it. Like we need to be doing we need to be kind of copying the way that Crankworks goes. Like
Okay.
people go to Crankworks, but they don't just go there to
To bike.
watch the guys bike.
Yeah.
They go there, they go there to bike, they go there to party, and they go there to have a really good time and stuff like that. And that needs to be the way that we need to be doing these. And
Good.
it's and the problem is it takes time. It's not just going to be like, oh, we're going to do this huge festival and everybody's going to come the first year. It's not going to work like that. You're going to have to do it, and you probably won't even come out on top when it comes to the
Right.
first one. But the thing is, it needs to get out there and people will be like, yeah, this was an epic one. And next time they bring, one person brings another friend, and then they
Yeah.
bring two friends the next year, and it needs to be built, and it needs to be like a continuous thing that people expect to come every year and expect to be there, and they'll show up for it. And the problem with those park resorts and stuff like that is they have no village at
Yeah.
the bottom, right? So like if if you were to say where we should be racing, it should be places like Sun Peaks,
Okay.
Whistler,
Yeah.
even Vernon and Big White, places that have a huge community already at the hill to
Yeah.
start with, and have the ability to handle more population coming into the hill. Because like when you go to Nikiska for that race, they there's nowhere to go except ski and go to the race. And the lodge is not even that big. There's like one restaurant.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just needs to be set up differently, and it needs to be uh, it needs to be built more in a festival manner than anything really.
Great point, because also you're used to, like, I've done a lot of bike events, and you're used to seeing the retail and gear village and everything else. So speaking of
Oh
gear,
yeah, for sure.
I'm just updating something on my computer. Speaking of gear, so I know the market in Canada is not that huge to sell ski cross you know, like World Cup level stock skis. But you've had no problem, you know, getting the right equipment. Like so for poles, I know you're with Lecky for skis. Your sponsorship is. Are you helping with design? Do you feel like you can contribute to? Obviously, you need a tougher ski. I'm sure. Like, can you tell me a bit about your equipment needs? You know, like at your weight when you land, it looks like 30 feet. I don't know how high you guys jump, but how do you feel solid with the right bindings and din and everything?
Yeah, so I've been working with Vocal for years now,
Okay.
and having that history with a company is huge too.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think yeah, like I was skiing on their skis when I went to Lillehammer, and ever since then, you know, I've had a really good um solid support from the European side and the North American side. You know, it takes a little bit of time to really get the, you know, I guess you could say the weight to really make change in
Right.
terms of the way they're build building skis and stuff like that. But what the way that I kind of worked around that is so we typically race on GS skis for the most part.
Okay.
Um, some of them are like a GS ski that's designed for ski cross, but for the most part, the radius is very similar. The length is very similar, and the stiffness is in a similar range too. So what I did is, because ski cross was so new and stuff like that,
Yeah.
instead of going directly to try to get a ski cross ski, I just said, you know, I'm gonna get a GS ski because I know it's gonna be solid, and I'm gonna try and get them to get me the best GS ski that I can get, and so that's what I did, and that's what they sent me. So the last couple of years I've been skiing on skis that were designed for the Sochi, or no, sorry, not Sochi, the Korea
Pyeongchang.
Olympic, yeah,
Pyeongchang.
so for Pyeongchang, and they were a ski for me that's designed a little bit longer,
Yeah.
and they have a special bend on the tail, but they're very solid, and they have a really good rebound. So that's why, you know, when I come back, when you case things or when you land hard or just hit those
Yeah.
big jumps, they don't break apart, and they're nice and solid. And yeah, I've really liked them, and I've skied on those all last year too. And this year we kind of are, they're getting a bit old, so this year we're trying to work with the design of the old ski and kind of make some new ones and things like that. Me and Chris Mahler are both with Vocal, so we're kind of working together as a group to design a really good Vocal ski for us. And at this point, we're basically communicating directly with the factory in Europe,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, it's been great. But yeah, it's quite fun to play around with it. But you know, at the end of the day, I try not to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
Um, you know, the skis are already good, and you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But you know, at the end of the day, um, it's all the skis are pretty good for the most part, and you know, if you do everything right, you're gonna do well
Hmm.
on them. And you know, I try not to put too much emphasis on the equipment, because
Right.
it's to a certain extent it's stuff that you can't really control. You just try to work with the best that you have, because like for me, you know, I have size 13 feet,
Oh.
and for the last couple for until before last year, I wasn't really able to use a proper race boot because my feet were too big.
Okay.
So I was in a softer boot than most of the guys, and it was tough because like GS turns weren't really as good as they should have been, so I had to kind of adjust. And but I didn't really let it hang hang me up, and I just, you
Yeah.
know, I just said, you can't worry about this. You just need to worry about the way you're skiing, and you need to just be fast. And that's kind of it. The equipment is not going to win you races, but it could lose you races.
Yeah.
Is kind of like what the thing is.
Well, it's just you have to have total trust, and usually you have good
Yeah,
technicians
for
that
sure.
make sure you're dialed in. Like I say, you're like more than a racehorse. It's like an F1 race, and you got a pit
Oh
crew.
yeah, totally.
But so
Yeah, it's hilarious.
what's your length? Like you say, a GS ski for a 6'4" guy. So how long are your skis now?
So they kind of range around a 193
Okay.
with typically a 30-meter radius, and sometimes we put some bends on to kind of limit and
Yeah.
to try and turn them a little sharper and things like that, and turn them in different places. But basically, that's kind of what we're looking at. So a 193 with a 30-meter radius, and then with the women, it's just a little bit shorter ski and a little bit of a smaller radius.
Yeah, most of the well, the men too, I see they do use sometimes from a different supplier a race boot, and they go to Europe and you get them custom made. You said at size 13. I'm just wondering for the binding, the toe piece and the heel, can you still get the riser plate in the right, in the right place on the ski? Because sometimes the sweet spot is forward or back. Like, do you have to adjust with that? Is that too technical? Or for my article, maybe
Nope.
I'm interested. Yes.
Nope. My bindings definitely fit on the on like the power piston plates that we use, but they are definitely on the biggest setting for
Yeah.
sure. Uh, there's not a whole lot of daylight on the outside of the bindings, but they work great, and fortunately, I'm not limited by that.
That's good. That's good. And okay, so that's gear because I love gear. So I'm sure you have a lot of pairs, and I think you come from a family that probably had it's like golf clubs for you. You had different kind of skis in the garage. Like that's
Oh
been
yeah, we all have our own. We all have a pretty impressive quiver of skis at the house for sure.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
little ridiculous at
yeah.
times.
Because where you live, you have the luxury of powder skiing and all that. So
Yeah.
you can't, because I find the ski cross. Sometimes it's because I've walked a few courses. It's not always like ice. You have different, and then you ski in Europe. Sometimes it's too warm. Like you must have to adapt to all these terrain, right? It's not always hard, rock hard, your course.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. You have to adjust your skiing, especially when you're this heavy. If it's super soft, you can't just stomp on it like it's like ice. You're gonna bust through, and you have to. It's like the subtleness. So like the
Yeah.
less is more, right?
Yeah. No, so I saw was it in Whistler last time? I think before Pyeongchang, your team had set up the exact replica of this crazy start, but I think they made it even harder because when we saw it on TV, it's like you have the gate and then you have this and then you had a hole and then so if you didn't have the momentum, I said I wouldn't even clear the first thing. So are they going to try to recreate once they know? I don't think they've announced. We haven't seen the Beijing installations, right? But you're going to rebuild that start kind of thing, like the first few turns, or
Yeah, I'm
uh,
not too sure.
they
It
did
kind
that
it
last
kind
time.
of depends. Yeah, because they were trying that cool drop start. Um,
Yeah,
uh, yeah, we'll see what happens, and if we have time, we will for sure.
yeah.
I never got to do the one in Whistler, but we had one in Calgary too. And
Okay.
what we did is at a COP, they had
Yeah,
the big airbag for all the half pipe guys.
yeah.
And so what they had is they had a half pipe that was cut in half, so you'd be able to go off the half pipe and land in the airbag.
Okay.
And so what we did is we built a platform that was about 6 feet higher than the coping on the half pipe. So
Wow.
you were dropping, and then we put a gate on top. So you were dropping probably 10 feet before you hit the snow, landing vertical, and then shooting out of the bottom. It
Well,
was
That's what I find.
It was way gnarlier than the
Oh,
actual Olympic stuff was.
I know, like that's where we always still get the crazy reputation, but at least it makes it accessible to watch. Even if you had buddies who are in totally other sports, it's fun to watch because everybody can understand that. Okay, it's the first to the finish, but you've got all these things. So I think it makes it fun to watch. So on a more like serious note, because you have your preparation, but can we quickly also discuss a bit of your mental preparation? Because I know you need to be pumped up, but also you need to keep calm. So how do you prepare yourself? I know we have a bit more knowledge now than we did 20 years ago. So do you have your own mental coach, or how do you manage it? And I know it's a crazy year for everybody, so I can't even imagine the added challenges for you with all the travel. So how do you prepare, and how do you get in your zone, as I would say?
Yeah, so we do have a psychologist that works with the team, which is great. Although for me, I kind of was fortunate enough that I kind of figured out my groove, I think, right before 2016. So right before the Youth Olympic Games, I kind of figured out something that worked well for me. And which is for me, being calm. So like some guys, they get all psyched up and stuff like that. And for me, I try to be just as calm as I can. And because I know that my strength is already there, I just need to control and make sure that I have, full control when I'm in the start gate and stuff like that. So I, so when I'm in the start gate and we got TV holds and I'm hanging out there, I'm just kind of staying loose and moving. And I run 3 words through my head. So it's, I say, what is it? No, I run 2 words through my head, which is calm and composed,
Yeah.
and I just say that, and then every once in a while, something comes into your mind that I guess you could say shouldn't be there. It could be a number of things. It could be, breakfast or whatever, and instead of like trying to just force it out and trying to force it out, I just kind of say like, accept it. It's fine. Just acceptance. It doesn't matter if you just let your mind go. Like, it's don't worry about it. Just let it think. And that was huge for me too with dealing with the tragedy of Michaela.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like she was kind of always there,
Hmm.
and instead of trying to force that out, I just kind of like said, accept it. I just kind of accepted it and let it be a part of my mind when I'm in the start gate, and didn't get upset that it was there, and didn't like feel like, oh, I'm thinking about this, it's gonna affect my racing. I just said, okay, I'm thinking about this and that's fine, but I'm still gonna race and I'm gonna kill it. And that's kind of the way that I roll.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a very calm and composed. And then, when that start gate drops, it's explosive.
Mm.
And then once the start gate drops, it's just game on. I don't
Is it automatic? Yeah.
worry about much. And then like for like the bigger mental picture of just racing in general, and days leading up and things like that, I just try to again stay calm and don't get too worked up about it. I've I've been a lot in a lot of pretty gnarly situations and things like that. So I don't, in terms of backcountry stuff and things like that. And so I don't let myself get too worried. It's not. I definitely know it's not the end of the world if things don't go my way. Obviously, it's a really dangerous sport, but it's we just yeah I just kind of keep it cool and just let it roll, and fortunately that's kind of works well for me. And yeah,
Mm.
I don't do anything crazy, because I feel like if you have like a strict um mental plan or mental
Yeah.
steps that you go through to prepare yourself for a race, when things change, which they will, storms, all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get thrown off. So I keep it very short, and I don't have any sort of really plan before I get in the start gate. And then when I get in the start gate, I just, run those 2 words and just get ready to race.
Well, that's a lot of maturity, Reece, because sometimes especially in the second wave, like you win the first wave and then you get the chance to be, number one, two, three, or four. So, and everybody's good. So I thought maybe I said you get angry or you get to channel some different energy when it's the finals, like you got the little finals and the big one.
Yeah, for sure. And then like when you look at like that Sweden race, that was probably the biggest one where I
Yeah.
had a different mentality, was when I was coming out not as hard as I could. So that time I was actually thinking about more of a strategy,
Okay.
and which was okay because it didn't really. So that was like more, I had to kind of focus up mid course, so I would pull out and get myself in a good spot, and then it would be then I would come around that last turn and just try to light it up. But like that's been the only time that I've really had a different mindset going into the start. But yeah, sometimes you get caught and you just try to forget about it
Yeah.
and work with what you got, and improve the next time. It's not it's really tough to be perfect, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thanks for your time. I just wanted to say Canadians are going to root for you and send you a lot of good vibes. I think you guys are going to travel a lot because we don't, with COVID still, we don't have a lot of local events, but it's going to come back and you're in it for the long term. Like you might be doing 3 Olympics, so you gotta enjoy the ride as well. Like you're just starting your World Cup and Olympic journey. So, and I hopefully for us, anyways, and for you too with the fans, it'd be nice to have an Olympic and more World Cups, like you say, in North America, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so we'll follow you. So you post quite a bit. Like when you have time, you guys relax. You post on Instagram or Facebook, or where do people follow you most?
Yeah, so I'm not as good as I should be, but I try to post as much as I can on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, that's for the most part. We'll get the GoPros out and we'll do some
Yeah.
follow cams and stuff like that. So those are always fun. And but yeah, in it, everybody on the team has Instagram, and then we have the ACA Instagram, and
Yeah.
Can Canada SkiCross too. So we're definitely out there, and we're looking for followers.
Yeah.
More the
Well,
the
I'll
more
put
the merrier.
I'll put the address at the end because that would be fun to interact and keep you keep your Canadian humor connected because I'm sure sometimes Europe they have different style of humor and Canadians we like to have fun, so it'd be good to keep you going. It's like your big family. I know you've done a lot of sacrifice with your social life, right? At home, like your friends must miss you, and then you come home and you get to enjoy, but you got to train. But I hope that it's a big family and that you guys can go win some more together. So I wish you a great start of the season, great trip, and thanks for your time. And I'll send you the article when it's ready.
Awesome. Thank you very much, MP.
Thank you. Have a great
Yeah,
day.
take care and have a great day, you too.
The sound was okay. There you go.